My fiancé's ex-wife showed up to our engagement party and whispered, "He's still married to me," in my ear. I laughed it off until she showed me a certified copy of their marriage certificate issued last month. He's been going to work conferences twice a month. Those were marriage counseling sessions with her. I, 28F, am writing this from my apartment while my entire world collapses around me. 3 hours ago, I was celebrating my engagement at a beautiful party my mother spent weeks planning. Now I'm trying to figure out if my fiancé committed fraud without my knowledge. Let me start at the beginning because this is going to sound absolutely insane. I've been dating Kyle, 35M, for 2 years. We met at work. We fell in love. He proposed 6 months ago with a beautiful diamond ring. Everything was perfect. We set our wedding date for next June, 13 months away. We booked a venue, hired a planner, sent out save the dates. We were in full wedding mode. Kyle had been married before, years ago. He got divorced 9 years ago from his ex-wife, Jennifer, 36F. They'd been married for only 2 years before calling quits. Kyle told me it was amicable, that they grew apart, that he'd learned a lot about himself through the experience. Jennifer supposedly moved to California, and he hadn't heard from her in years. Kyle is a consultant for a tech company. His job requires him to travel for work conferences. He typically goes twice a month, sometimes more. The conferences usually last 2 to 3 days. He'd leave Thursday morning, come back Sunday evening. Very standard for his job, or so I thought. My mom threw an engagement party last Saturday night at a local restaurant. It was beautiful. About 60 people, friends and family, lots of champagne and celebration. Kyle and I were the stars of the night, toasting our future together. Around 8 p.m., I went to the bathroom. When I came out, I literally froze. Standing by the bar was Jennifer, Kyle's ex-wife. I recognized her from photos Kyle had shown me from years ago. Older than the photos, of course, but unmistakably the same person. I was confused. How did she get here? Kyle hadn't mentioned her being in town. I didn't even know they were in contact. I walked over to Kyle to ask about her. But before I could reach him, Jennifer intercepted me near the coat check. She pulled me aside into a quieter corner of the restaurant and leaned close to my ear. She whispered, "He's still married to me." I actually laughed. I thought it was some kind of joke, an ex-wife at an engagement party, making a dramatic comment for effect. I said, "That's funny. How long has it been since you two talked?" Jennifer pulled her phone out and showed me a certified copy of a marriage certificate, an actual legal document. It was their original marriage certificate from 9 years ago, but with a certification issuance date from last month, February 14th, to be specific. Valentine's Day. My stomach dropped. The marriage certificate had Kyle's name and Jennifer's name on it. It had been recently certified by the county clerk as still valid, with no record of divorce. I couldn't speak. I stared at the document, reading it over and over, as if the words would change if I just looked long enough. Jennifer said, quietly, "We never actually got divorced. The paperwork never went through. We thought it had, but there was an error with the filing. We've been legally married this whole time. When he decided to get engaged to you, we decided we needed to get it right. That's why we requested this certified copy last month, to confirm our legal status with no confusion. He's mine, not yours." I felt my legs getting shaky. This has to be fake. This can't be real. Jennifer said, "It's real. Check the court records if you want. Check with the county clerk." My attorney and I requested it. Kyle's been coming to marriage counseling with me twice a month, working on us, trying to save our marriage. Those work conferences he's been attending? That was me. I flew to wherever he was, and we'd have therapy sessions together. We never actually stopped being married, and now we're working on being married again. I couldn't breathe. I felt dizzy. I excused myself and went to the bathroom where I locked myself in a stall and tried not to have a panic attack. Kyle was fraudulently engaged to me while being married to Jennifer, while going to marriage counseling with her, while telling me he was at work conferences. I came out of the bathroom and walked directly to Kyle. I pulled him aside, away from the party. I said, "I need you to explain, Jennifer, right now." His face went pale. "Jennifer? What do you mean, Jennifer?" I said, "She's here, at our engagement party. And she showed me a certified marriage certificate issued last month, with your name on it. Is it real?" Kyle looked like he was going to faint. He didn't say anything for a long moment. Then he said, "Can we go somewhere private to talk about this?" "Not here." I said, "Is it real, Kyle?" He said, "Yes, but it's complicated, and I can explain everything. Please, not at your engagement party. Not here where people can see." I told my mom I was sick and had to leave. I didn't explain why. Kyle drove us to his apartment, the place I've spent the last year falling asleep in, planning a future in, the place I thought would be our home when we got married. Once we were inside, I asked him again, "Explain." All of it. Kyle sat down on the couch and put his head in his hands. He was quiet for a long time. Then he started talking. 9 years ago, when Kyle thought he was getting divorced from Jennifer, something went wrong with the paperwork. This is apparently not as uncommon as I thought. The divorce decree was filed, but there was a clerical error and the final paperwork didn't go through. Kyle and Jennifer were never legally divorced. They've been married this whole time. Kyle didn't find out until recently. How recently? He wouldn't say at first, but after I pushed, he admitted it was 3 months ago. 3 months. 3 months after he proposed to me. He said when he found out, he was shocked. He called Jennifer to figure out what happened. They met up to discuss options. According to Kyle, they decided it would be too complicated to explain to me at that point. We'd been dating for less than 2 years, and he didn't want to make things awkward. Instead, he and Jennifer decided to work on their relationship to see if they could make it work. That's where the marriage counseling came in. Those work conferences? He was flying to meet Jennifer every other weekend. They were trying to reconcile. And apparently, they decided they wanted to stay married, so they requested a certified copy of their original marriage certificate last month to confirm the status, after discovering the error. All of this was happening while he was engaged to me. I asked the obvious question, "Why didn't you tell me?" Kyle said, "Because I didn't know if Jennifer and I would make it work. I didn't want to mess things up with you if it turned out we couldn't fix our marriage. I was trying to figure out what I wanted." I said, "So you were engaged to me while being married to her and going to marriage counseling to try to fix your marriage with her, and you thought it was okay not to tell me?" He didn't have a good answer. He just kept saying it was complicated and that he was sorry. I asked when he decided. When did he decide between me and Jennifer? He said he hadn't decided. He said he needed more time to figure things out. I left his apartment at 2 a.m. I went to my best friend Sarah's house and have been there ever since. That was about 20 hours ago. My phone has been blowing up. Kyle has called 17 times and texted constantly. His messages have progressed from, "I'm so sorry," to "Please let me explain better," to "You're being unfair. Jennifer forced her way into the party. I didn't invite her." I called my lawyer friend this morning and asked about the legal implications. She confirmed that if Kyle was legally married to Jennifer, then his engagement to me could be considered fraudulent, which could lead to civil claims. She said I should consider reporting this, but that I should also think carefully about what I want to do, because it would involve legal action against my fiancé. My family is in chaos. My mom is upset that her party was ruined, but also very clearly angry at Kyle. My dad wants to call the police immediately. My brother has been supportive and let me crash at Sarah's without asking questions. Kyle's family is apparently divided. His mother called me, I didn't answer, and left a voicemail saying, "Kyle and Jennifer are meant to be together. You need to understand that." His sister texted Sarah, we're friends, apologizing and saying Kyle had lost his mind, and that none of this is your fault. I've contacted my wedding planner and told her to cancel everything. I can't think about a wedding right now. I'm trying to think about whether I want to pursue legal action against my fiancé for fraud. Update 1. 2 days later. I've officially spoken with a lawyer, and the situation is more complicated than I thought. First, I reported the situation to the police. I filed a report documenting what happened, the certified marriage certificate, the confession Kyle made about being married to Jennifer while engaged to me, everything. The police have taken a report, and it's now a matter of investigation. The detective said they're looking into the timeline and the circumstances to determine if criminal charges are warranted. Second, the certified marriage certificate Jennifer showed me is real. I had my lawyer verify it. Kyle is legally married to Jennifer, with the original date from 9 years ago and a recent certification issuance on February 14th. This means our engagement was entered into while Kyle was married to someone else. Third, the police contacted Kyle. He's hired his own lawyer and is claiming that while he was technically still married to Jennifer due to the paperwork issue, he didn't knowingly enter into a fraudulent engagement with me. His lawyer is arguing that this is a civil matter between Kyle and Jennifer, not a criminal matter, because Jennifer and Kyle both agreed to confirm their marriage status. However, my lawyer points out that Kyle knowingly withheld this information from me. He knew he was married, and he knew he was going to therapy to try to save that marriage, and he didn't tell me. That's fraud at minimum. Whether it rises to criminal charges depends on the specifics and how the prosecutor interprets the law. Fourth, Jennifer's story has shifted slightly now that she's being questioned. She initially told the police that Kyle invited her to the engagement party. He says he didn't. She also claims that when she found out Kyle was engaged to me, she felt obligated to tell me the truth. Her version makes her sound noble. Kyle's version makes her sound vindictive, that she showed up uninvited specifically to sabotage the engagement. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that Kyle was married and didn't tell me. Fifth, Kyle has made several statements to the police. He's admitted that 1. he found out he was still married to Jennifer 3 months ago. 2. He and Jennifer agreed to try to reconcile. 3. He did not tell me about this. 4. He attended marriage counseling sessions with Jennifer, disguised as work conferences. 5. He did not tell me about requesting the certified marriage certificate. He's also admitted that he proposed to me without disclosing that he was married to someone else. His lawyer is arguing this was a mistake in judgment, not criminal fraud. The prosecutor is currently reviewing the case to determine if charges will be filed. 6th. Kyle has sent me multiple messages asking me to meet with him and Jennifer together so we can all figure this out. I've refused. My lawyer advised me that any further communication with Kyle or Jennifer should go through my attorney. Update 2. 1 week later. The prosecutor has decided not to file criminal charges against Kyle for bigamy. Here's why. 1. Kyle did technically know he was married to Jennifer when he became engaged to me. This is a problem for him, not a solution. 2. However, the prosecutor argued that the case is complicated by the fact that Kyle didn't fraudulently enter into marriage with me. He just got engaged, and engagement is not marriage. 3. The prosecutor also noted that Jennifer's involvement, showing up at the party and revealing the information, muddies the waters regarding intent. My lawyer explained that while the prosecutor felt there wasn't sufficient evidence for a criminal bigamy charge, there's absolutely grounds for civil action. Specifically, I'm pursuing fraud charges in civil court. I've filed a lawsuit against Kyle for fraud. My lawsuit states that he knowingly withheld material information, his legal marriage to another woman, and his ongoing relationship with that woman, which prevented me from making an informed decision about our engagement and our future. Kyle's lawyer has responded by arguing that he didn't engage in fraud because he didn't make false statements. He just failed to disclose information. There's a legal distinction, though my lawyer is confident we can prove fraud based on Kyle's specific conduct. He actively created the false narrative of work conferences, and he actively concealed Jennifer's existence. Jennifer has also been contacted about the lawsuit, but she's not named as a defendant. My lawsuit is against Kyle for fraud. The police investigation is ongoing, but it seems like the criminal angle is going to be dropped in favor of civil proceedings. Update 3. 3 weeks later. Kyle has finally admitted some things in discovery that make this clearer. In his deposition, Kyle admitted that when he found out he was still married to Jennifer 3 months ago, his first instinct was to figure out how to get divorced. He consulted with an attorney about the divorce process. However, Jennifer contacted him during this time and asked if they could meet to discuss it. When they met, Jennifer apparently convinced him that they had unfinished business and that they should try to work things out before making any decisions about divorce. Kyle agreed to counseling. He didn't tell me because he said he was embarrassed and didn't want me to think he was still attached to Jennifer. However, here's the kicker. In his deposition, Kyle also admitted that he had told Jennifer he was going to propose to me. He said he told Jennifer about the proposal plan before he did it. Jennifer apparently told him she felt betrayed by this and that she needed him to choose. Kyle claimed he chose to propose to me, but he also continued the marriage counseling with Jennifer simultaneously. His testimony was that he thought love wasn't a finite resource and that he could love both me and Jennifer and work on both relationships. This admission is huge for my case. It proves that Kyle was aware he was making a choice that would hurt Jennifer. He made that choice, but then he continued his relationship with Jennifer anyway. It's duplicitous and fraudulent. Jennifer, on the other hand, has not been cooperating with discovery. She's claiming attorney-client privilege on all communications with her therapist, which is valid, and she's refusing to answer most questions about her involvement or knowledge of Kyle's engagement to me. However, my lawyer found evidence that Jennifer knew about the engagement. Kyle had texted her a photo of me and the engagement ring with a caption. She said yes. The timestamp on that text was 3 days after he proposed to me. So Jennifer knew about the engagement right after it happened, and she did nothing to stop it. In fact, 3 weeks later, she requested the certified marriage certificate with Kyle anyway. This suggests to my lawyer that Jennifer was complicit in the fraud. She was trying to secure her legal relationship with Kyle, while also allowing Kyle to pursue his engagement to me. She kept both options open. Update 4. 6 weeks later. The civil suit is progressing. Discovery has been completed, and we're moving towards settlement negotiations. Kyle's insurance company, his homeowner's insurance and other policies, is covering the lawsuit to a certain extent, but there are limits. Kyle is looking at significant financial liability. My lawyer has advised me that a settlement is likely more favorable than going to trial, both financially and for my own peace of mind. Going to trial would mean a very public airing of all of this, with depositions and testimony becoming part of the public record. I've thought about this carefully. What do I want from this lawsuit? I want compensation for the fraud and betrayal, yes, but I don't want to destroy Kyle's life. I want him to understand what he did was wrong, and I want to move forward. In settlement negotiations, Kyle's team has offered a settlement amount that my lawyer says is reasonable. It's not a huge amount. It's based on the actual financial damages, engagement ring, wedding deposits, cancellation fees, my time and stress, not punitive damages. But it's something. More importantly, Kyle has agreed to sign a statement acknowledging that he knowingly withheld material information about his legal marriage and ongoing relationship with Jennifer, and that this constituted fraud. I've agreed to the settlement. We're finalizing the paperwork now. As for Kyle and Jennifer, they're apparently living together and trying to make their marriage work. I've seen them around town a few times, and honestly, I just feel sad. Sad for the relationship they have if it's built on this kind of deception and manipulation. Sad for Kyle that he couldn't just be honest from the beginning. Sad that I wasted 2 years on someone incapable of that honesty. Final update. 3 months later, the settlement has been finalized, and I've received the agreed-upon compensation. The legal and financial aspects of this nightmare are officially over. Kyle and Jennifer are still together. Last I heard through mutual acquaintances, they bought a house together and are trying to build their marriage properly now that it's officially acknowledged and out in the open. I've moved forward with my life. I quit the job I shared with Kyle, too uncomfortable to work together anymore, and took a new position at a different company. I've been in therapy processing the betrayal and the whirlwind of the past few months. The engagement ring I had, which cost Kyle about $8,000, I sold. I donated half the proceeds to a divorce support organization and kept the other half for myself. I needed to sever the connection to that ring and the false promises it represented. I'm dating again, cautiously. I'm taking things slowly and paying close attention to red flags that I might have missed with Kyle. My therapist and I have done a lot of work around trust and recognizing manipulation. I've learned some important lessons. 1. Trust your gut when something feels off, even if you can't articulate why. 2. Don't ignore inconsistencies or unusual explanations. 3. Don't make excuses for people who are unwilling to be fully transparent. 4. Sometimes people lie by omission rather than overt deception, but it's still lying. Looking back, there were signs. Kyle never talked about his first marriage except in the most vague terms. He was always a bit evasive when Jennifer came up in conversation. He was very rigid about his work conferences and didn't like questions about the specifics. I see those signs now. I hope I'll recognize them in the future. As for the engagement party disaster, my mom held a divorce party for me 2 months later, which was hilarious and cathartic. My friends wrote funny toasts, and we celebrated my escape from Kyle. It was healing. Kyle reached out to me once, about 2 months after the settlement was finalized. He wanted to apologize properly and explain himself. I declined the meeting. I've said what I needed to say through the legal process and my lawyer. Anything more would just be reopening wounds that are finally starting to heal. I'm grateful that Jennifer revealed the truth at the engagement party, even if her motivations were questionable. I'm grateful I had the courage to report it and take legal action. And I'm grateful I'm out of a situation that would have only gotten worse if I'd married Kyle without knowing the full truth. I'm going to be okay. Better than okay. I'm going to live my life with my eyes wide open, trusting myself and choosing people who choose me completely and honestly. Kyle made his choice. I'm making mine, and mine is to move forward.